This video of a retired police sergeant who was beaten and robbed by thugs in broad daylight has become the new normal in cities across the country. Now, it's no different in Minneapolis, where we went last week to document the chaos, the aftermath of all those riots, the lawlessness, the destruction, all after George Floyd's death. And those who stand up and call for more or better policing, like Minneapolis Police Federation President Bob Kroll, can expect a violent BLM mob to show up at their houses.
I'm a black man being terrorized by this Klansman right here. Don't run now! Don't run now, racist white people! Come on over here with your Blue Lives Matter sign! Blue Lives ain't shit! And if people in Hugo don't support black people, Hugo, Minnesota!
Joining me now is the target of that irate mob, Bob Kroll, Minneapolis Police Federation president. He's also a lieutenant with the Minneapolis Police Force. Bob, what's your response to that threat and intimidation by that individual running for office in the state and endorsed by the governor and other Democrat officials?
Well, Laura, it's shameful. And what's truly shameful beyond that is no one in the party here, including the governor, has asked for him to step down and withdraw from the race. They put out a few small retractions that he wished he wouldn't have done that, but they were very minor apologies, if you could even call them apologies. And the rest of them are saying, hey, this is our party. This is what you want. And sadly, he's from the east side of St. Paul, is where his district is, and that's where I grew up and spent the first 25 years of my life.
Now, I was in Minneapolis last week, and I spoke to business owners whose lives were completely destroyed in these riots. Now, these aren't political people. They're just hardworking Americans. And their stores were literally burned to the ground. Watch. Do you want fewer police here, or do you want more?
We want a more presence of security. There's no backup plan for the police either. They say they want to defend the police. Okay, do you have other plans, what you could put into our community? Because I have another store down the street. Thursday, 1 p.m., I got robbed in the daylight. The police is all they do is, Laura, is taking reports. I have reports after reports, and now the reports is going to become like a booklet. You know, it's like a full of reports.
Bob, he, like many others, just not getting the help that they need right now from authorities. Well, what's your response, given the situation in Minneapolis today?
Well, the thing is, a year ago, our chief of police asked the mayor and city council for an increase of 400 officers, and they got nothing. And during press conferences, you saw our mayor repeatedly say, we just didn't have the numbers. We just didn't have the numbers. And it was the epitome of failed leadership. If they would have deployed the guards sooner, which they held back on their deployment, a lot of these businesses and buildings could have been protected. They did over $500 million worth of damage to these businesses. There's 1,500 businesses, many of which will not come back. And not only we not get the 400 officers, we are down 100 from that. There's rapid retirements. We expect to drop 200. We were hovering around just below 900, and we're going to be below 700 the way things are going.
Now, violent crime is on the rise, Bob, in Democrat-controlled cities across the country, including Minneapolis. The figures are astounding. Homicides are up 96% over last year. Now, the city, as you said, cutting the police budget, reducing the number of officers. What's your message tonight to all the people watching? They've heard a lot of talk about, how Joe Biden's a great guy, is a great grandfather, and let's stipulate to all of that. But the position of the Democrat Party in general toward police officers, what should people be thinking tonight?
They have declared war. The party has declared war on police in all the major cities. Minneapolis has it bad, but thank God we're not Portland or Seattle. You look what's going on out there. I just don't understand it. All these major cities that have Democrats in charge and have had Democrats in charge for decades are the ones that are imploding, and their answer is less police.
And Bob, I have to say, after being in Minneapolis and seeing the destruction firsthand, I actually got in my car and I just cried. Like, I couldn't believe this was happening in America. We always know there's going to be injustice. There's going to be crime. There's overwhelmingly great police. some, not great, just like in humanity. It's not everyone's going to be a perfect person. Some going to be criminals. But Minneapolis, that happened in Minneapolis. It's just, it took my breath away. And if it drove me to tears, I can't imagine what it's doing to the city. There are a lot of good people in Minneapolis, a lot of great people, hardworking people.
That's right. That's right. I drove down there after the riots finally quelled, and I worked Lake Street for many years as a patrol supervisor and a patrol officer, and it was devastating to see because a lot of those businesses were strong police supporters, and they're gone and they're not coming back. And it's sad to see because that Minneapolis was a very vibrant city, and it's going to be a long, long road to recovery, and they're headed in the opposite direction. Depolicing and defunding the police is not the way.
Governor Tim Walz not having rescinded his endorsement of that man who came to your home, your personal residence, and was threatening you with the teenage neighbors on the porch there on the front driveway. What has happened to Minnesota? Got to turn this around. Bob, great to see you tonight. Stay in touch with us. We'll be tracking the story as it goes on.
Thanks for having me, Laura.